listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
You can put it on the board. Yes!
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course, the king of all, those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I ever had, probably be the best you ever had as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner at 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935. Tattoo that number on your arm and give Uppercut Chops a call right now and find out what's for dinner. Best steaks and chops and burgers and whatnot I've ever had. Probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out, folks. Yes! Oh, that's good stuff. I get fired up thinking about those enormous steaks. And a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, as well as Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, and WOW Cable Television affiliates, and Hotel TV in over 500,000 rooms from coast to coast. And back here with probably, arguably, our favorite special guest. He's been with us a handful of times. And you know what, folks, if you're one of those cigar smoking kind of guys, or women, you know, right, women smoke cigars too. Listen, folks, this is the guy you want to hang out with, because not only does he know how to fire those things up, but he's got great stories, and he represents great, and I mean wonderful organizations that hold these really big parties. And we have one coming up, and we're going to hear all about it from our special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Don Horn, an old beat-up football player who likes cigars, and looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks in Las Vegas at the Cigars with the Stars party out there, partner.
All right. Yes. And an enormous round of applause for the Ditka and Jaws Cigars with the Stars. And we're probably going to see Brian Urlacher, this one, just like we saw last year, step in for Mike Ditka, right? Mike is kind of cooling out right now, right? Is that what we're going to see?
Mike's slowing down. Mike's slowing down quite a bit. You know, this, it's the Gridiron Greats Assistance Fund. And then Ron Jaworski's got a charity, too, for young, for youth type organizations and stuff. But it's primarily for the, it's old beat up ball players that, they're in dire need of medical assistance, financial assistance, psychological assistance, or whatever. It's for the older guys primarily that the league just refuses to help. They have billions of dollars, the NFL, Players Association, NFL alumni, and they just refuse to help certain percentage of the older guys, and it's just a tragedy. So, my old teammate Jerry Kramer actually started this organization approximately 20 years ago and passed the baton on to Mike Ditka and then Ron Jaworski, and now, Brian Urlacher's in there too. It's the old Chicago Bear guys, man.
Yes! That's all good stuff. Sorry, Packer guy. It is what it is, folks. But no, Don is listen, this guy, in case you don't know who he is, he's an NFL champion, a Super Bowl champion. I think he's in the Gridiron Greats Hall of Fame as well. Is that not right?
I'm in the Gridiron Greats Hall of Fame. I played college ball at San Diego State. Don Coryell, Air Coryell, in the Hall of Fame at San Diego State. I was pretty good when I was a young buck. And then, I backed up Bart Starr for 4 years. I always told Bart when he was alive, and I'd see him from time to time, I'd say, now remember, Bart, who pushed you to greatness? You had me nipping at your heels. I had to push you to greatness to get you in the Hall of Fame.
That's right. Hey, listen, it was no mistake. I mean, Don, let's face it. Back in the day, when you think of Coryell, right, what we think of who he learned from. Now, a lot of people don't know who Don Coryell, the system that he came from. And when we think of that whole West Coast offense, that that passing offense, move the ball, et cetera, et cetera. Who was the guy that he was under? He was an understudy for whom?
Well, I mean, it could be any number of people. You know, it could be Sid Gilman.
That's the guy I'm looking for, Sid Gilman. Because, you know, folks, this is the thing, Don. Most people don't know. They say, oh, here's this tree of success. But the reality is, we think of Sid Gilman, and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, look, this was before my time, young man. But we think
but
of...
you know your football. You know your football.
Most people don't know the tree of all the champions under Sid Gilman.
True. Very true. Very true. And, I mean, Sid was, he was an icon. And Coryell loved him. And, yeah, you're right. Coryell learned a lot from him. And,
also Tom Flores was under Sid Gilman, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. I think so, yeah. Flores is a great guy. Thank God he's in the Hall of Fame now, too.
Yeah, and you know what? Tom is one of our favorite guys. We just love Tom. And, the only time I really talk to him is holidays, see how the grandkids are, whether it's, Christmas or this one or that one. And what a great guy. And I've always kind of called him like the Hispanic Santa Claus, right? I mean, he's Hispanic Claus. I mean, he's just one of those guys, just a great guy for the room. I mean, he bleeds Raiders, but he's one of those guys like yourself. You want to be around because you get great stories.
Yeah. You get me talking, especially after a cigar or something like that too. I start talking about some crazy stories. In fact, I was sad to see my old buddy Dick Butkus passing away a few months ago. Yeah. He and I had been in touch here the last couple of years. I kind of reached out to him. We traded a few emails and sent each other a couple of pictures with some nice notes on them and stuff. And I was really hoping to visit with him one more time, or at least one more time. But I'm sorry to see him go. He was the best. I tell you, Lombardi thought so much of him. He thought he was the best he ever saw. He could not believe how good Butkus was, and how Butkus would just screw up that famous Lombardi sweep. Butkus would ruin that sweep. We had to change the blocking two or three different ways just to handle Butkus, because he could figure it out right away and just knew how to just be like a bowling ball and go in there and screw everything up on that sweep.
Right. Well, with that big wingspan, I mean, there's that famous photo, and it was Bears Packers, of course, and it looked like Butkus had his arms out, almost tackling three guys at the same time.
Right.
Ridiculous stuff.
Yeah. He was an icon. He was good. God, he was good.
But he was a nice guy too.
He'd stand across from me, and we used to play him in Wrigley Field back in the day. He'd stand across. I'm looking at him across the center, and he had nice things to say about my pedigree, and instead of calling me by my first name, Don, he'd call me Tin Horn, or Greenhorn. Say, "Here I come, Greenhorn." And then he'd come, knock me.
Well,
if he did it once, he did it.
Don, you didn't have the protective gear like they do now. It's almost like they're playing flag football right now. Imagine today's guys playing back then. I would argue they couldn't even be on the field for, I don't know, maybe one quarter. I'm not saying they're not tough, but it's a different kind of tough back then.
Yeah, it really was. The old black and blue division. Was that Van Brocklin called it the black and blue division way back in the '60s, and they're right. Obradovich and those guys in the '60s. Oh my gosh, that was a tough team. Those guys were physical team. And I remember the first year, my rookie year, I played them in there, and I had a single bar. I had a single bar face mask. Got my nose broken by a guy named Dick Evey, and I always said Dick Evey made Butkus look like a saint. And he broke my nose on I guess it was a clean hit. I don't know. But then next year I went to a double bar. The next year I went to a full face mask, especially when you play the Bears. Well, you play the Bears and the Raiders. They were the same way. Raiders were the same way. Ben Davidson, dirty son of a gun. I mean, just whatever. Mean. Go ahead.
But you know what, Don? Here's this in our last minute or so of the segment. What people seem to be missing is that when you played this, and we'll go all the way back to, we're going to draw a line in the sand from 1979 back, only because it's a nice round number, 1984, 1979 back. The game back that you're referring to, that I'm referring to, that I know as a kid, is playground football. It's kill the guy with the ball. Right. And it seems like today's game, everyone's making business decisions out there because this is their primary source of income, and it's huge income. But back then, you had to have another job. And we'll talk about that in the next segment. But back then, it was truly go get the ball, right? It's not like, well, let's do this thing as a team. It's like, go get him, go get him, let's blow him up. Right? That kind of stuff, right?
Yep. Kill the quarterback. And then if you wanted to get a good running back out of the game, you'd tell the first guy, don't tackle him. You hit him and stand him up. And then let 2 or 3 guys come in. Gang tackle the guy. One guy hit him low, one guy hit him in the middle, one guy hit him high. Don't knock him down right away. You stand him up and let us take care of him. That's what they did back in those days.
Listen, and we're going to go to break here. I'm just going to leave everybody with this. Folks, we had a show here with Kevin Green, and Kevin before he passed. And Kevin was that guy. And Kevin said, hold him up, let everybody tag him. I mean, just great stuff. If they were running their mouth, boy, would they drill him. And I love that about that particular show. Anyway, folks, listen, we're going to be back here with Don Horn, the great Don Horn, 2-time champion, Super Bowl II champion, and guess what? What a hell of a guy, and a very big cigar smoker. So check out the Cigars with the Stars, and that's going to be at the M Hotel in Las Vegas on February 8th.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
If you're trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more.
800-957-6209. 800-957-6209. 800-957-6209. That's 800-957-6209.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196. Paid for by Legal Alert Line.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-296-1209. 800-296-1209. That's 800-296-1209.
Shut up and start talking.
Assume the position.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Folks, this segment is brought to you by the Cigars with the Stars event on February 8th, right here in Las Vegas at the M Resort. Yes, February 8th, Thursday, February 8th at the M Resort, and that's at 12300 Las Vegas Boulevard South, right here in fabulous Las Vegas, although they say it's Henderson, but it's really Las Vegas, right? And folks, if you're driving in from sunny Southern California, right when you get over the hill, that's the very first resort on your right-hand side, right past the little hill that's blocking the view. It's like, boom, there's the M. You'll see this really cool M with a cool little graphic on the side of the hotel. It's a class place, very, very nice place. And check it out, folks. You could go to Ditka Jaws Cigars, DitkaJawsCigars.com, and you can learn all about the event. And frankly, listen, folks, this is one of those things that if you've never been to one of these kind of star-studded events, because you have superstars from football, baseball, basketball, hockey, music, film, they're all there. You can't get away from them. But it is a organization, better yet, it's put together by an organization that really does good things with the funds that it raises. It helps those retired players that, frankly, didn't have a bunch of money. They don't have money for this resource or that resource. They're not the post-collective bargaining 1993 guys that had a little bit more money at the table. So check them out at DitkaJawsCigars.com. Here, for everybody watching on television, I'm going to put this right up. This is on my telephone, so you can see that. That's what I've been reading from. DitkaJawsCigars.com. Make sure you check it out. Folks, I don't get nothing for saying this, but I can tell you a lot of great people would really appreciate your assistance. And listen, you'll get to meet the superstars, even guys like, people from the broadcast world. You know, by the way, folks, we're here with the great Don Horn, two-time champion, Super Bowl champion, and NFL champion 1967, and he's in the Gridiron Greats Hall of Fame. Of course, a nice round of applause for Don. But, folks, you get to meet even the on-air personalities. In fact, Don, last time, it was last year at this event, I remember all the guys from the Four Letter Network were there, too, and I had a real nice talk with Steve Levy. What a good guy. I was I have to tell you, it was a conversation I didn't expect. Steve was a very gracious guy, and he just really sat and listened, not idled listen. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, they pay attention. Yeah, they pay attention. It's a great event for an even better cause. For Super Bowl week and Super Bowl party, it's one of the best, if not the top event, in the whole week. And that's been echoed by so many different attendees and players that you'll be amazed who's going to be there. It's just a great event for a great cause.
Yeah, and folks, by the way, if you're interested in tickets for this, there's a very small amount of tickets available because it's a very exclusive party and it's a great cause. But you could email ditkajawscigars@gmail.com. ditkajawscigars@gmail.com. And you can also sponsor the event as well. So if you go to the ditkajawscigars.com page, scroll down just a little bit and you'll see a banner. In fact, here it is for everybody on TV and everybody streaming. Right at the bottom of it, you'll see it says, become a sponsor. That's my telephone I'm holding up there, folks. And so it says, become a sponsor, again, at ditkajawscigars.com. Make sure you check that out. I'm going to beat that one to death because that's why we're doing today's show, because Don really doesn't like to talk to me, if you know what I mean, folks. Now we'll give him a round of applause and a laughter. That's okay. But no, seriously, folks, this is a great cause. And you notice I have this from the Dunes Hotel, everybody watching behind. One of my all-time favorites here in Las Vegas, Vintage Vegas. Don, give me a story about the Dunes Hotel and Casino in Old Las Vegas.
Well, I spent part of my honeymoon there in 1969, and we got greeted by the great Joe Louis. Walked in there, and we were guests of the Dunes Hotel, Abe Schiller and the gang, and put us in the honeymoon suite, and met Leo DeRocher was there, Stella Stevens, great Don Rickles was there. Met him, had a great time, just a great event. And then I had an opportunity to meet the great Jimmy the Greek. And it's a long story. I'll tell you about it in 2 weeks from tonight at the party. But it was a deal that involved O.J. Simpson and a no-show that he had at a big event there. And he asked me to pinch hit for him at the last minute, and I did. And he always told me, he said, "Don, I owe you a big favor. If you ever need a favor, call me." And I never did. Some great experiences at the old Dunes. I loved it. Went back quite often over the years until they, imploded it quite a few years ago. And that's where the Bellagio's there now, right?
Yeah, it is. But you know what? The Dunes, for me, my first time in Las Vegas was 1979, which I'm just a few years younger than you. But yeah. I remember old Vegas, and I loved the giant marquees. Like the Dunes had one of the 3 top signs in the entire city, right? So you had the Stardust, the Frontier, and the
right
Dunes.
There, right on the Strip. Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Oh my God. 15-story high, 20-story high marquee signs that were, mind you, I'm from the big city. I'm from Chicago, and I look at big buildings. But then when you see these giant electronic, oh my God, marquee signs, you're like, wow. It's almost culture shock for a little 12-year-old kid seeing these things for the first time, standing right at the base of those saying, wow, it's as big as a building.
Yeah, you see all the resorts and casinos, and then you see blocks and blocks of desert, and then you see another casino further down the Strip. Back in the 60s, it was just being, it was in the embryonic stages of being developed, that whole area. God, it's just beautiful. But that party 2 weeks from tonight, at the M Resort, top shelf liquor. It's all complimentary. It's part of the deal. Some great cigars, some of the best cigar manufacturers in the world will be there. Great, heavy hors d'oeuvres. It's just a great event. And then rub elbows with so many different celebrities, both from the sports world, the entertainment world, the music world, as you said. Just a great time. It's just a great event.
Don, I remember the first time I went to this was up in Minneapolis. It was a little chilly on that day. I think it was about 9 below zero. You remember we were standing outside waiting to get in? I think it was called the mechanics room or something like that, or the machine shop or something.
Yeah, it was. It was terrible because it was too cold to go outside. It was too crowded on the inside. You couldn't smoke the cigar. I mean, that was. I tell people about that. You go to Las Vegas, they got golf tournaments, tennis tournaments, skeet shooting. They got all these outdoor events, all these different venues around the country when it's somewhere, we're in a warm climate. You go to Minneapolis. What are you doing on the outside? Well, you're going to go ice fishing, you're going to go ice sculpting, you're going to go snowmobiling, you want to go cross-country skiing. I mean, no, I don't. I had enough of that in Green Bay back in the day. I don't want any more of that cold stuff.
Hey, listen, man, I completely understand. I mean, I got off the plane from Vegas going to Minneapolis. I'm wearing shorts and a T-shirt and flip-flops, and it's 9 below zero when I got off the plane. And I'm walking around town like that. These people are like, what the hell's the matter with you? I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, the idea of going to a venue like that, it was fun for me. But I still have the video of when I got off the airplane and the blustery wind and the snow and the crap blowing when I'm waiting for my taxi outside the airport. I mean, what the hell were they thinking? Why would they put the Super Bowl there?
Looking back at that, I don't think it got above 11 degrees. It was below zero. I think the high one day was 11 degrees the whole time we were there. I couldn't believe how cold it was.
It was cold. I mean, I was like standing up straight, if you know what I mean. I gotta tell you,
it's going to be a lot better 2 weeks from tonight. I'll tell you that. Even though it's going to be cool, but it's going to be nice. We're going to be outside by the pool. They have an indoor portion of it too.
Yeah.
A lot of it's inside. Most of the cigar smoking and everything like that will be outside. Around the pool area and stuff. But you can migrate back and forth. Auction items, some great auction items. I just saw some of them today on the internet for the first time. Some great silent auction items that they have this year they're offering. So, and people can go online too and bid on that. You don't have to attend. You can just bid on it online if you want. There's some great, tickets to the Charger games, the Ram games, the Falcon games. They have, tickets from the various teams around the country, the NFL teams. It's just amazing what they have on the auction item list this year.
Well, it's just getting so big, again, here in our last minute of the segment, it's getting so big where, look, pretty soon they're going to have to hold this in a gigantic place like the Allegiant Field, Allegiant Stadium, right, where they're holding the Super Bowl, because it's getting so big and popular.
You were at the one last year in Phoenix, and that was by far the largest one they ever had.
Yeah, and I'm looking for you through this thing after I got done doing the red carpet. Like, where the hell is Don? What's going on here? And here he is sitting behind the rope like, well, excuse me, would you pass the gray poupon? Right. But that was so much fun. It was so much fun. Tell you what, folks, we're going to go to break here in just a moment. Make sure you check out DitkaJawsCigars.com. DitkaJawsCigars.com for arguably the greatest party in Las Vegas, especially at Super Bowl time, right here on February 8th. It starts at, about 8 p.m., 7 p.m., thereabouts. Check out DitkaJawsCigars.com for all the details. If you're looking for tickets, go to DitkaJawsCigars@gmail.com. Send them a message. Tell them the circus sent you. Well, not really. It doesn't really matter. Tell them Don Horn sent you. Back here in just a few moments, folks. Lots more to come.
Good. Yeah, great. Yeah.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.
If you're tired of the fake news and tired of all the left-wing BS and agendas out there, if you want to do your right part to clean out the swamps and hit the lefties where it hurts, their pocketbook, we all know the president and his cronies hired thousands more IRS employees and agents. Now that's not very American. There's a way to fight back. Fellow conservatives out there, call American Tax Relief. They can help you pay less to the IRS. Don't you give a penny more to spend to the left-wing agendas. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes or haven't filed your taxes in years, call my friends at American Tax Relief. They'll give you a 100% free introduction to their program, and trust me, they're on the right side of your freedom. Pay the IRS less. Call now.
800-958-2157. 800-958-2157. That's 800-958-2157. Paid for by the Tax Doctor.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which are podcasts that can be found in full. No, we don't do a podcast. All of our recorded shows in their entirety are on the podcast platform. This is a real show, so we have to watch our language. We can't say all those bad words because we'll get sent to the principal's office, of course, by the stations that we work with. Anyway, folks, also make sure you check out the partners page. Lots of great partners there. In fact, one of those is Ditka Jaws Cigars with the Stars. DitkaJawsCigars.com. Check them out for great events like the one coming up on February 8th right here in Las Vegas, a few days before the Super Bowl. Arguably, this event will be better than the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Of course, I could say that. It's my show. But nonetheless, make sure you check it out. DitkaJawsCigars.com. Lots and lots of fun, folks. And frankly, benefiting great causes from Mike Ditka's Gridiron Greats Assistant Fund, as well as the Ron Jaworski's Jaws Youth Playbook. Right? Lots of great to help the at-risk youth. So we have great causes that are represented here. Great people are going to be there from sports and entertainment, just like on this show. And that's why we've got the great Don Horn with us here. And Don, of course, is one of our favorite guests. He's been with us for years. He's been coming on to this show. How many years, Don? It's been since, I think 2017 was the first time you were on.
Yeah, something like that. It's been a couple of weeks. It's been at least a couple of weeks.
Right. We celebrated our 7-year anniversary about, almost 2 months ago. Can you believe I've been doing this for about over 7 years? That's crazy.
Gosh, time flies, man. You're having a good time, right?
We're having a lot of fun. And you know what we haven't had? Look, you're a Packer guy. I get it. All right, so be it. But we've had quite a few of your Packer friends on. Great guys. And the one we have not had Jerry Kramer on the show yet, but I remember the time when Jerry was inducted. He got the induction announcement, whatever. Remember at that the stem cell thing? We had funny stories there, but we still haven't had Jerry on.
Well, we have to work on that. I haven't talked to Jerry. Well, I saw him at the alumni event in Green Bay about 2 or 3 months ago. I stay in touch with him, but I know he's going to be down in Las Vegas. I don't know if I'm going to try to get him to this party if I can. He's been to this party before, but not in the last couple of years. Because his plate's pretty full once he gets to the Super Bowl. They have his itinerary is pretty well taken up. And if I can get him away for a few hours, I'm going to try to get him to this party for sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. Once you get that gold jacket. Right? It's like life changes, doesn't it?
Oh, it sure does. It sure does. And then, last year you met quite a few of the guys that were there. Ron Yeri was there, and Dave Robinson, and quite a few guys were there that had the gold jackets, and they're just great guys. They're just and there were some pretty good older former baseball players, Major League Baseball players there too.
Yes, there were. As a matter of fact. Yeah. What I'm going to do, keep talking because I've got something for you here. And, when I think about that, Don, I say, look, for everybody that's watching on television right now, I've got something for you right here. Here is a great photo that I took with Raleigh Fingers. Raleigh Fingers was at this event. And you know what was cool, Don? And by the way, this photo was also taken with the greats. You know who this guy is? The Hall of Famer right there.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That's Dave Robinson. And folks, listen, you have missed some great people, some great events. And there's Dave's ring. That's his Hall of Fame ring. So for all those people that don't know, and there it is. I'm showing you this because this is the kind of stuff that you could potentially see at this.
You'll see quite a few of those.
That's right.
And you'll be amazed. The people will be amazed how nice these guys are. I remember the first time I went to one of these events years ago, I'm sitting there talking to a lot of these old Raiders, Oakland Raiders. And they used to beat me up so bad. And I'm talking to them, and I'm going, wait a minute. You guys are pretty nice guys. I don't remember you just being this nice when I was playing against you. But I tell you, seeing these guys now, we're alumni, and we're trading old war stories and telling each other old stories and jokes and stuff. The camaraderie that we have and the respect we have for each other, it's just amazing. It's just really great to get to know these guys now, years later off the field. And what a great bunch of individuals they are.
Well, you know what? I mean, think about this. Ladies and gentlemen, it is just business. People will go to work for their companies, and sometimes there's competing companies. Think about Coke and Pepsi, for example, whatever, just an example, right? And so you've got these different organizations, just like you do in professional sports. They're different organizations. They have paid employees, etc. It's the same damn thing. So it doesn't mean because Joe works for Pepsi and you work for Coke that you can't talk to Joe. It just happens to be that way. The different beer companies have it. Different football teams, it's the same thing. It doesn't mean that they hate one another. I mean, not fully, of course. But the reality is, because those guys are beating up on each other. But at the end of the day, folks, it's just business. And it's the same thing in sports and broadcasting and business and in schools. We joke about schools. Well, hey, I went to this school, you went to that one. Who gives a damn? At the end of the day, all we're doing is collectively doing what we're supposed to do to get paid to make a living. But then when some guys, like in the NFL, before 1993, they didn't get paid a lot of money. They just didn't. I mean, Don, back in the day, you guys had to have second jobs, didn't you, in the offseason?
Well, I was a first-round draft choice, 1967. My salary was $15,000. And these guys today make more money in one game, some of them in one half a game, and a few just in 1/4 of a game that I made in 9 years. I always say this, there's two main differences today compared to what it was years ago. Number one, most everybody had an off-season job back in the 60s and 70s. You had to have an off-season job. Number two, we didn't run out of bounds. We didn't run out of bounds like you do today. The only time you run out of bounds is when you want to stop the clock in 2-minute drill or something. But now these guys are running out of bounds all the time. Well, they have to protect their livelihood, I guess.
Yeah, but what kind of game is that, Don? I mean, you're making business decisions out there in the first place when, look, I understand the business of sports quite well. And I've seen it. I've personally been victimized by it. So it stinks, folks. But what I can say is that back when, this is why I drew that line from kind of 1979 back. I mean, really, you could even go earlier than that. The reality is these guys, they had to go make money elsewhere. Maybe it was selling insurance or selling beverages or selling cars, whatever it was. I don't know. But the reality is these guys didn't get paid a lot, so they didn't have a lot of resources. Nowadays, they get a small amount maybe from the league, but they need help. Maybe it's medical, maybe it's dental, maybe it's vision, maybe it's personal stuff. I don't know. The reality is the Gridiron Greats Assistant Fund is an organization that actually helps gather money and distribute money for these players that essentially made the game great. Because without these guys, we wouldn't have a game today at the level we do. Isn't that right, Don?
So true. That's so true, Sal. Thank you for bringing that up because, anybody that played prior to 1993 and even much prior to that, like you said, even before 1979 or even, earlier than that, the older guys that kind of, even guys in the 50s, in 40s that really paved the way to the NFL to what it is today, so many of them are just in dire need of help. They didn't make any money. They have no benefits. The league refuses to give them any benefits whatsoever of any consequence. And anybody who's played the game the last 30 or 40 years, they're well taken care of. They have benefits. They have life. They have all kinds of benefits after they retire from the NFL. Back when I played, even prior to that, we get hardly anything, nothing. And there's so many guys that need help, and it's frustrating because I've had teammates of mine that I've spoken at their memorial services and stuff. They needed help. They requested help from the league, and they were turned down time and time again for various reasons that really didn't hold any water, I don't think. But there's guys that really need the help, and doggone, I get upset about this because the league has the money. Just do what's right to help some, certain guys really need the help. Not everybody needs it, but the ones that do, doggone it, they need help, and that's what this organization does.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, folks? I'll tell you this. The Ditka Jaws Cigars for the Stars event is a very, very good cause to help these guys out. It really is. And make sure you go to DitkaJawsCigars.com. Learn about the organization. Learn about what they're doing. Yes, fantastic parties. Best parties you'll probably ever go to. If you're a sports nut, this is your Graceland. Truly it is. DitkaJawsCigars.com. And this is for the event on February 8th at the M Resort right here in fabulous Las Vegas. Listen, if there ever was one thing, people have this bucket list thing. Tell you what, this is it. If you are the sports collector, this is it. If you're just the guy that wants to see or the woman that wants to see, that want to meet people, shake their hands, whatever, this is the event. There is no other event. This is the top of the top. Believe it, folks. DitkaJawsCigars.com. I get nothing for saying this. I get great guests over here like Don Horn. Don's a friend. I want to bring Don in and I want to talk about these events because it helps the older guys that didn't get crap from their contracts. Anyway, folks, back here in just a few minutes on the circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-320-2751. 800-320-2751. 800-320-2751. That's 800-320-2751.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
If you're trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more.
800-957-6209. 800-957-6209. 800-957-6209. That's 800-957-6209.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-296-1209. 800-296-1209. That's 800-296-1209.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Al Bubba Baker, quarterback breaker and the rib maker.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm the Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. For more information on producing your own show or starting your own show, whether it's a radio, television, or a podcast, like the 3 million other podcasts that are out there, check out AMP TV. Info at AAMP.TV, info at AAMP.com. Yes! AMP TV. Fun, good, solid organization that will do the right thing for your show idea. Folks, this segment is actually brought to you by the Gridiron Greats Assistance Fund. And here to tell you all about the Gridiron Greats Assistance Fund is the great Don Horn.
Thank you, Sal. Yeah, I'm on the advisory board for the Gridiron Greats Assistance Fund. It was an organization started by Jerry Kramer, taken over by Mike Ditka and Ron Jaworski, and now Brian Urlacher's part of it now too. And it's a great organization. We raise funds. It's a 501c3, of course. It's all tax deductible. We raise funds to distribute to older players that don't have the benefits or the luxuries of the newer players, older players that are in some dire need of some assistance, medical, psychological, financial, whatever they need. We vet them, and then we give them assistance as we see appropriate. And we do that to so many different players, older players, that the league just has refused to help over the years, even though they have all the funding, the money, billions of dollars that the NFL has, and they just refuse to help certain amount of these guys. And trust me, they need help.
Yeah. And folks, you can check out the Gridiron Greats Assistance Fund, of course, at that website. Just type in Gridiron Greats Assistance. You could probably just find it with Gridiron Greats, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But
Gridiron
remember,
Greats, pull it up.
Yeah, and the big party, of course, for the Ditka Jaws Cigars with the Stars, you could read about that and learn about that and attend. Maybe you can get a ticket if you're early enough. Go ahead and go to DitkaJawsCigars.com and scroll down just a touch, and you can buy a ticket right there. And I'm not trying to tell you, buy a ticket, but I think you probably should consider it because, frankly, folks, this goes to great causes. And it's not lining people's pockets. No, this is helping people that really need resources. And by the way, a portion of that obviously will go to who? The Jaws Youth Playbook, which is great for helping the at-risk youth. That's Ron Jaworski's 501c3. And Jaws is a great guy. He's been on the show. And what a superhuman. This guy should have his own Hall of Fame. And pretty soon we're going to see the Jaws Hall of Fame. What do you think, Don?
I think it's great. I mean, he is one fine man. Yeah. In so many ways. He gives back probably tenfold. He's one of the best people I ever met in my life.
Yeah, what a great human. You know what I'm saying? He's just one of those guys you want to be around him because he just exudes confidence and greatness. When there are people that we all know in our lives, when they walk into a room, they light the room up. Jaws is one of those guys.
He sure is. That's so true. That's very, very well put, Sal. That's so true.
Yeah. And I love that about him because as soon as he walks in, all heads turn to him. But you can see he's got the big smile. His posture is good. He's got a great aura about him. And he just gives off that positive vibe. And you want to be in the room with him.
Yeah. And he's just a great man. Great stories. What would they call him? What was he, the Polish rifle?
The Polish rifle, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I want to give a special shout to Bighorn. Tell everybody about Bighorn, Don. What is Bighorn?
Bighorn autographs?
Yes, sir.
That's something my son's been helping me. We started this quite a few years ago. One of my daughters had a double mastectomy, and to help pay for her medical bills, my son says, why don't we try to sell some of your sports memorabilia and stuff, on the internet? And I said, sure. So we sold quite a bit of it. And of course, we gave the proceeds to my daughter to help offset her medical bills. And then it kind of blossomed from that. Other people in the business saw what he was doing. They They offered to help him. They wanted to talk to him about certain things. Anyway, he got very successful at it, helping other people. And then last year, he decided to start on his own. And now he's in the sports memorabilia business. He does signings all over the country with some pretty big names, getting bigger all the time. And he's going to be in Las Vegas. He's going to be at the party. And he's actually donated a lot of stuff in the auction. He's donated some of the stuff to the Gridiron Greats that are silent auction items, autographed jerseys, helmets, etc., footballs, and that kind of thing. And been very successful. I'm very proud of him. Very proud of him.
You know,
Bighorn Autograph stuff.
Bighorn Autographs. What do you, by chance, would you know what the website is? Just tell you what, folks. Just go ahead and type it in your browser. Bighorn Autographs, right, Don?
BighornAutographs.com.
Oh, there it is. BighornAutographs.com. And you know what, folks? Ryan is a lot of fun. And he is a big dude. I mean, he's a former football player, too. And when I stand next to him, I feel very small.
Yeah.
It is
He's
what it is.
boy.
I mean, this is a big boy.
Big boy. Big boy. Yeah, and everybody loves him. You know, I mean, they love him in Green Bay. He goes back there. Everybody loves him in Green Bay, and they're getting to know him in other cities too. You know, he's been to Seattle for a signing with some of the people there, and he's been to Nashville with some of the Titans, and he's been down to Dallas, and he's making a name for himself. Everybody loves him. He doesn't know any strangers. He's got that ability, just like you. He doesn't know any strangers. Everybody loves him.
Well, you know what's cool? I mean, for me, the reason I bring it up is, first of all, I'm always trying to help because that's just kind of what I do. But I love the fact that the story, how it started. It started with a great cause and it just got bigger. And now he's working, of course, with this CIGARS with the Stars event, right? Donating some of the helmets or whatnot. The idea is that when you have good, pure origin, it only blossoms into bigger and better things. And that's the reason we're kind of giving them a plug because, frankly, I love the story. But, I mean, look, Ryan is your son. Ryan's a great guy. And I always laugh with this guy, too. And, again, I feel rather small, but I feel safe around him, too, if you know what I mean. Because he's so damn big.
Well, he's looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. He's going to be there for sure.
Yeah, well, we always want to give him a plug because Ryan's a great guy. And, of course, apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He's just a little bit bigger than you.
Yeah. Thank you, my man.
Hey, that's my pleasure. We got time for one more quick story. And give me a Vince Lombardi and George Halas story. Take 2 minutes to talk about that.
Well, I mean, I guess one of the biggest thrills of my life, it's hard to pick one out of the air, but I remember as a rookie in 1967 in Wrigley Field, pregame warm-ups. We're out there in pregame warm-ups. We're throwing in the north end of Wrigley, and the Bears are throwing in the south end. And you got George Halas, the legendary George Halas, and you got Vince Lombardi. They're I always said they're like two peacocks walking around in a circle there in the 50-yard line, pregame warm-ups at Wrigley. And, we're taking turns throwing the ball, Bart and I and Zeke. And then after I threw the ball one time, come back, take my, wait my turn again. Coach Lombardi waves me over. Donald, you call me Donald. Yes, so I kind of jogged over to him. He introduced me to George Halas. Before the game, the Bear game, 50-yard line at Wrigley Field, 1967. Crazy stuff like that I remember for the rest of my life, Sal. To be introduced to a legend, by a legend, in a venue like Wrigley Field, in the oldest rivalry, professional football, Packers and the Bears, it's just a great moment in my life.
Well, you know what? If George would have said, you know what, hey, Vince, I need your guy over here, you would have probably played 15 years in Chicago because they haven't had a quarterback since, Sid Luckman in the first place? I mean, something like that. I mean, they don't know how to do it with quarterbacks. It is what it is. But I think you would have had a longer career with one specific team. I mean, you had some very good success in the league.
I set some records in Green Bay. And I was the first quarterback to throw over 400 yards in Lambeau Field. I was the first Packer quarterback to throw 5 touchdowns in a single game. I threw it back in the 60s when, we didn't run the ball. I mean, we hardly ever threw the ball, and I threw 400 and some. I only did it in 3 quarters. It took me out in the fourth quarter.
That's incredible.
I said some single. I did things up there that Bart Starr didn't do, and but it's kind of a long story. The coach got fired. Lombardi left. Big changes. I got hurt, and it's just the fickle finger of fate.
But look at it this way: you did something that, out of 100%. 1% of 1% of 1% are even able to make it to the highest level, and then the 1% are able to do what you've done on top of it. That in itself is lunacy. I can't believe I even know anybody that has done that, because the odds are so long here, of course, in Las Vegas. It's hard to find anybody that has that level of skill at the highest level. And let's face it, at that time, how many teams were there in the league?
There were only, at that time, I think there were 25.
25 teams.
Yeah.
You were one of the, and let's face it, if every team had 2 quarterbacks, you are one of the top 50 players in the world. Folks, to do anything like that. And by the way, we're running out of time here, so I'm going to spend this last minute real quick and tell you all about the Ditka Jaws Cigars with the Stars event right here in Las Vegas on February 8th at the M Resort on Las Vegas Boulevard South. So, folks, if you want to go to arguably the best party you'll ever go to in your life, and I'm going to go ahead and stake my reputation on it because it really is that good. You'll see guys like the great Don Horn and plenty of other Hall of Famers. The list is crazy of who's going to be on there, and I can't tell it to you because we don't have enough time. But make sure you go to DitkaJawsCigars.com. DitkaJawsCigars.com. Read about it. Get your tickets if they're still available. And also, you can become a sponsor of the event, and the proceeds go to tremendous causes to help those former players that, frankly, didn't get what they were supposed to get as players. And honestly, what they didn't have is what you can actually give to them through the fund today. That's good stuff. DitkaJawsCigars.com. Also, email them at DitkaJawsCigars@gmail.com. Don, thanks for joining us today. And of course, every time, buddy, it's always something good. And thank you for joining us and telling us all about the Ditka Jaws Cigars with the Stars. And of course, Bighorn Autographs as well. BighornAutographs.com, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Sal, and I appreciate it. You're very welcome. Thanks for the honor and the pleasure of having me as one of your guests. I really appreciate it.
Come on, man. Anytime. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. And folks, we're going to see you, or we're going to hear you. Actually, you're going to hear us in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. So until then, so long, everyone, from the Sports Circus.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.